Fyne Audio. The young company Fyne Audio was founded in Scotland in 2017. The brand name comes from Loch Fyne, a lake located about 2 hours' drive from Glasgow. The background to the company's creation is linked to the legendary Tannoy company. In 2015, Tannoy was acquired by Music Tribe, owner of the Behringer brand, which led to changes in the team. As a result, key Tannoy employees, including the Director of Engineering, Technical Design Manager, Production Manager, and leading sales specialists, decided to leave the company and start their own project. Combining decades of collective experience in the audio industry, this group of enthusiasts laid the foundations for Fyne Audio with the ambitious goal of creating high-quality loudspeakers designed and partly manufactured in Scotland. Among the founders of the new company is a very important figure in the industry, Dr. Paul Mills, former Director of Engineering at Tannoy, who has taken up the position of Technical Director at the new company. The business strategy is the responsibility of Managing Director André Sosna, while sales are headed by Max Maud, formerly Sales Manager at Tannoy. Drawing on the experience and traditions of British audio, the Fyne Audio team defined the brand's philosophy from the outset: respect for heritage, such as the iconic Tannoy coaxial loudspeakers, combined with the freedom to implement modern technologies and engineering ideas. Its new independent status allowed the team to create its own venture for experimentation, applying previous developments and introducing innovations. Fyne Audio made its official debut in May 2017 at the high-end show in Munich. The company presented several lines of speakers of its own design. The initial portfolio covered various price segments. The F300 series, focused on affordable hi-fi, became the baseline. These models featured classic two-way designs. For example, the F302 floor-standing speakers almost immediately received high marks from experts for their high sound quality in their price class. The mid-range segment was led by the F500 series, which utilized proprietary technologies, in particular the IsoFlare coaxial driver. The F501 model, a floor-standing speaker with a 6-inch IsoFlare driver, also earned praise from experts. Finally, for the most discerning customers, the Flagship F1 series was announced, developed without compromise. Fyne Audio's flagships, large floor-standing speakers, such as the 8, 10, and 12 models, costing tens of thousands of pounds, demonstrated the team's achievements at the pinnacle of their capabilities: complex multi-layer birch plywood cabinets, exclusive natural veneer finishes, and improved coaxial drivers. High ratings from experts confirmed the correctness of the chosen approach, relying on time-tested ideas, the concept of a point source of sound, dual concentric drivers, and introducing its own innovations. Fyne Audio managed to attract the attention of audiophiles in a short period of time. One of the key features of the new brand's acoustics became mentioned IsoFlare radiators. This is how the company named its coaxial driver, where a high-frequency tweeter is installed in the center of the mid-bass speaker and matched to it. IsoFlare is a tweeter with a magnesium or titanium dome recessed deep into the center of the bass cone and a special horn profile, thanks to which the waves from the low and high-frequency drivers travel simultaneously. Another proprietary technology is the Fyne Flute diffuser circle, an unusual profile of the driver's rubber suspension containing alternating grooves. This shape dampens resonances at the boundary between the diffuser and the suspension, preventing sound coloration. Finally, almost all Fyne models feature the original BassTrax port system with a Tractrix diffuser. In the BassTrax design, the port is directed downwards, and a special cone-shaped diffuser Tractrix is installed at the outlet. Low-frequency waves emanating from the top of the cone are converted into a uniform 360-degree front that disperses throughout the room. This has two advantages: a more even bass field in the room, less rumble and less dependence on placement, and greater freedom in positioning the speakers in the room, without any significant loss of bass quality even close to the walls. The success of the debut models allowed Fyne Audio to develop further. In 2018, the company attracted investment for business expansion from Bibi Financial Services. These funds provided capital for production growth and expansion into international markets, which Fyne had already actively pursued in its early years. Managing Director Andrei Sosna noted that when entering the global market, it was important not only to create a unique product, but also to have the resources to scale up and fulfill orders quickly, which was achieved thanks to the financing. A year after its launch, Fyne Audio presented its new F700 series at the high-end 2018 exhibition in Munich. This line took its place between the mid-range F500 and the Flagship F1, offering audiophile quality without an extreme price tag. Initially, the F700 series included two large floor-standing models, the F702 and F703. In essence, the engineers took many solutions from the top-of-the-line F1 series, simplified them, and implemented them in more compact and affordable speakers. In addition, new approaches were used in the F700. For example, all crossovers in this series underwent cryogenic treatment, freezing and slow thawing, to remove internal stresses in the conductors and soldering. According to Dr. Paul Mills, this treatment significantly improved sound transparency, and Fyne even implemented it in mid-range models, which was previously the prerogative of premium speakers. The F702 and F703 impressed the audience with their combination of detail and large-scale sound. By the end of the new company's second year, the staff had grown to over 50 employees, including not only engineers but also production technicians. In 2019 to 2020, a new Fyne audio factory was established in Glasgow, where the production of premium speakers was launched, the F1 and F700 series models and special versions of hand-built speakers. Having its own production facility allowed the company to better control quality and implement non-standard solutions, such as equipping the factory laboratory with cryogenic component processing equipment. The beginning of 2020 was marked by a further expansion of the model range. Fyne Audio brought a whole range of new products to the Bristol Hi-Fi Show 2020, demonstrating the capabilities of its Scottish production. 3 models have been added to the F700 range, the compact F700 and F701 speakers, as well as the flagship F704. The F704 was the largest and most expensive model in the series, a 67 kg floor-standing speaker with a 12-inch coaxial driver and an additional 12-inch bass radiator, capable of reproducing bass from 24 Hz. The F704 is actually close in capability to the flagship F1, but at a lower price. The flagship series did not go unnoticed either. In the same year, 2020, Fyne Audio expanded the F1 series with the announcement of 2 new bookshelf speakers, the F1-5 with a 5-inch coaxial driver and the F1-8 with an 8-inch driver. They inherited all the signature features of their older siblings, from luxurious veneer finishes with burl inserts to solid aluminium bases and adjustable tone controls on the front panel. The engineers managed to pack the technology of the F1-12 model into a compact enclosure. Both new bookshelf speakers received a built-in bass with a BassTrax diffuser, thanks to which it was possible to achieve deep and dense bass even in a small enclosure. The front panel of these models, as with all models in the F1 series, features aluminium controls for fine-tuning the upper mid-range. This solution is a tribute to the traditions of vintage speakers of the past, which often had a treble control knob, but with a modern twist. The F1-5 and F1-8 bookshelf speakers, unveiled to the public in February 2020, demonstrated that Fyne Audio is ready to offer audiophile quality and the prestige of its premium series in a more compact and relatively affordable format. Thus, by 2020, Fyne Audio had built a full-fledged model range, from affordable entry-level speakers to handcrafted high-end acoustics. The company has firmly established itself in the market, competing with both mass-market brands and renowned high-end manufacturers. At the same time, it has remained true to the idea of balancing tradition and innovation. During its first 3 years, the brand received numerous positive reviews in the press and gained consumer trust, while the very fact of Fyne's emergence was often viewed by analysts as a revival of the Tannoy spirit, that is, the transfer of the legendary school of sound to a new independent company. By this time, Fyne Audio had strengthened its Scottish identity. A significant part of the model range was made in its homeland, which was emphasized in marketing, and the company proudly mentioned its location near Glasgow, a region where many audiophile traditions originated. After 2020, Fyne Audio did not slow down, although the global situation, the pandemic, made adjustments to the presentation schedule. Nevertheless, engineers continued to work on expanding the range. In 2021, a special series, the F500 SP, Special Production, appeared, a kind of intermediate option between the F500 and F700 lines. The F500 SP, F501 SP, and F502 SP models were improved versions of the existing F500 speakers, manufactured at the Fyne Audio factory in Scotland. They incorporated a number of elements from the higher-end F700 series, such as advanced crossovers, driver materials, and finishes, but retained the dimensions and concept of the original F500. Thus, the SP series made it possible to improve sound quality without resorting to much higher prices. The press welcomed this move, noting that the Fyne SP speakers resemble the legendary Tannoy designs in both appearance and sound, as they are also based on a coaxial design. Industry professionals emphasized the similarity of the F500 SP to classic Tannoy models, not only in the use of a dual concentric driver, but also in the presence of a separate grounding terminal on the speaker to eliminate parasitic interference. This solution is not often found. The Special Production series cemented Fyne Audio's reputation as a manufacturer capable of quickly implementing improvements and releasing special versions to meet the demands of enthusiasts. One of the company's most notable achievements was the development of the new Vintage series, a family of vintage-style speakers. Fyne decided to compete in a field previously dominated almost exclusively by the classic Tannoy, historic models in wooden cabinets. By 2022, Fyne Audio had prepared an extensive vintage line, which was previewed at Munich High-End 2022. The series was divided into two branches: Vintage Classic, more affordable models with veneer finishes and MDF cabinets, and Vintage itself, expensive speakers made of selected plywood and solid wood. A total of 7 models were planned, 4 of which were shown at the exhibition. Among them were the relatively inexpensive two-way Vintage Classic 10 and Classic 12. The flagship models became the Vintage 10, 12 and 15, large systems with 10, 12 and 15-inch coaxial drivers, 38 cm in the top-of-the-range Vintage 15, and corresponding 75mm tweeters. The price range covered amounts from £4,000 to £30,000, meaning that the Vintage series covered several segments at once for connoisseurs of the classics. The models utilized all of the company's key technologies, IsoFlare, Fyne Flute, BassTrax, and were also supplemented with solutions from the top-of-the-range F1 series. For example, a complex dual-chamber cabinet design with an internal waveguide and crossovers with deep cryogenic treatment to enhance sound transparency. The front panels of the Vintage models also featured analog control knobs to adjust the frequency response to the room acoustics. The cabinets were finished in walnut veneer and decorated with gold fittings and 70s-style fabric grills. In essence, the Fyne Vintage series is an homage to the golden age of hi-fi, but with new technology inside. When these speakers were unveiled at High-End 2022, they attracted a lot of attention. In 2022, in addition to Vintage models, Fyne Audio also updated its main lines. An upgraded entry-level F300i series was introduced, and a revised F500S series was planned for release. By the end of the year, Fyne's range covered all niches: stereo speakers, 5.1 multi-channel sets, F3 series active subwoofers, and wall-mounted home theater speakers, FA series for ceiling mounting. In recent years, Fyne Audio has continued to strengthen its position in the market. The company participates in exhibitions and collects awards. In 2025, a completely updated F500S series was unveiled at the Munich show, replacing the original F500 from 2017. The new lineup includes 5 models, from the compact F5S bookshelf speaker with a 5-inch IsoFlare driver to the powerful F501S and F502S floor-standing speakers, as well as a special LCR speaker for home cinema. The F500S series features improved tweeters with a new waveguide for extended dispersion, redesigned bass cones and fine flute suspensions, an upgraded BassTrax system and updated filters. Prices have been kept relatively unchanged from the previous generation. Today, less than a decade after its founding, Fyne Audio is an established brand with a wide range of products. The company has managed to take up the baton from legendary British manufacturers while bringing its own unique innovations to the table. The current catalogue features a variety of models to suit different tastes. F300i series, entry-level classic hi-fi. F500S series, the main series with proprietary IsoFlare coaxials in all models. The 500S series is the backbone of the catalogue, combining audiophile technology with affordability. F700 series, a premium line for discerning listeners. Consists of 2 bookshelf models, F700, F701, and 3 floor-standing models, F702, F703, F704, manufactured in the UK. All feature high-end IsoFlare drivers, solid birch plywood cabinets and piano-grade finishes. The F1 series is Fyne Audio's flagship range. It is designed, manufactured and finished by hand in Scotland at the factory in Glasgow. They incorporate all the latest advances, tweeters with neodymium magnets and low resonance frequency, multi-layer cabinets with double chambers and complex crossover filters with selected components, each hand-soldered and deep-frozen. The Flagship F1 speakers are designed to reproduce music with high accuracy and musicality. In addition, these speakers are finished with natural wood, hand-polished and inlaid. What's more, the models boast solid metal elements, tone controls on the front panel and a commitment to perfect sound. Vintage series, a vintage line divided into 2 categories, Vintage Classic and Vintage. All these systems are designed for those who are looking for the sound and design of the old days, when acoustics were created with enthusiasm and big ideas. The company's catalogue also includes subwoofers and installation speakers for built-in use. Despite its modest age, Fyne Audio has gone from being a newcomer startup to one of the most prominent players in the audiophile market. The company's speakers have gained recognition both in the UK and abroad, and the brand itself has managed to occupy a unique niche. Many audiophiles and industry experts consider Fyne Audio to be one of the most dynamically growing audio companies in the modern market for classic passive speakers. The secret to its success lies in striking the right balance. Building on the experience of its predecessors and introducing its own innovations, Fyne Audio offers listeners a classic British sound with a modern twist. Let's hope that the story of this company is far from over. We want to believe that the company will continue to develop, releasing new interesting models and delighting fans of high-quality sound.